I can show you. This is what it looks like when it's done.
Oh, wow.
But you'll see it. And so again, only 2 ingredients, dates and pecans. And when you think of a real pecan pie, or this is a real pecan pie, but a traditional one, you know, Caro corn syrup and flour and white sugar and it just, bleh. But this is actually made from food. I like to use a springform pan. This is a silicone one, but you could get a metal one. There's so many different shapes and sizes, because what's nice about it, Silicon Valley?
Yeah, it's a silicone.
It's silicone or silicone. It's silicone, not silicone. But what's nice is the sides peel off, and it makes it very, very easy. And this has a glass bottom, but any pan would actually work. And you will need a food processor for this one, not a blender. And you want to make sure it's fitted what's called the S blade, they say, because it looks like the letter S. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make the crust. Actually, I lied. I'm gonna make part of the filling. So I have my pecans already measured out here, and I'm going to put them in the food processor. One of the things you want to be mindful of is, unless you're actually making a pesto, you always want to make sure your food processor or your blender, if you're grinding nuts or seeds or grain for that matter, is dry. Because if it's not completely dry, I'm telling you, 1 drop of water could turn this recipe into what it's not. So I made sure that I didn't use my food processor today, so it would be nice and dry. And now I'm going to process the nuts on high. I'm not going to turn it into a nut butter. I'm going to turn it into more like a flour or breadcrumb consistency. You don't have to do it that long, because we're going to process it again. So you can see it's kind of like breadcrumbs, I could go a little bit longer, and if I wasn't doing a live show, I might go a little bit longer. So but this is fine.
So Nicole wants to know what Dr. Goldhammer's favorite recipe is of yours.
Oh gosh, I will tell you that. And the reason I know that is because we would, at the holiday extravaganza that I would host for him, we would always do an Iron Chef competition with me against Chef Bravo. And we did it for many years. And almost every single year, he would win the savory round and I would win the dessert round, because I was a pastry chef. And then I don't know how the heck this happened, but one year, Dr. McDougall came to watch it, because he's a big celebrity in Santa Rosa where he used to live. And his wife, Mary, was a judge. So many people came, hundreds of people came. They had to move it outside. And for whatever reason, that year, I won the savory with something that I actually call the McDougall Goldhammer Cauliflower Sweet Potato Risotto Stack. And he won the sweet. But the one year, the secret ingredients that were given to me and Chef Bravo were mango, cashew, and oats. And I made a mango tart. And Dr. Goldhammer's favorite nut is cashew, and his favorite fruit is mango. And Dr. Goldhammer's not a very demonstrative person, but when I saw his eyebrow go up, I knew I had it clinched. So I would say anything with mango and cashew. And so he did love that tart. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this aside for now, the crumbs of the pecan, and I'm going to make the crust. And again, what's interesting about this is the only ingredients are nuts and dates. It's how they're configured. So I'm going to make the crust by doing something very similar, taking a different set of pecans. And by the way, these are raw nuts. These are not roasted, and these are not salted, and certainly they don't have oil. And I'm going to process this into a flour-like consistency. Getting hot in here. And then I'm going to add my dates. And these are pitted dates. I mean, I hope they're pitted. I didn't check each one. I probably should, because I could damage my food processor in doing that. And you know what? I'm using the organic Deglet Noor, and I'm going to tell you why. Let me go grab them. You can get them at Costco at a really great price. I live in Indio, which is the date capital of the world. We have all kinds of dates. But I always rely on these because really they are very, very affordable. And even though the Majul date and the Bari date, they're probably sweeter and better for certain recipes, what's nice about these is they're a little bit drier, and I think this is a date that is more accessible to people, and most people in big cities have Costco and can get these, and they're very tasty and they're very affordable. And if you've ever heard of not a candy bar, but a bar called the Lara Bar, This is basically the idea. And she made a fortune selling that to General Motors, General Foods. Basically, she took a nut or a seed with a dried fruit. So this is basically just making your own Larabar. So if it wasn't a pecan pie, we could literally use any nut or seed or any kind of dry fruit, and add kind of, we could add lemon zest or lime zest or orange zest, or people that eat chocolate cocoa powder. So this date nut thing, I mean, it is caloric. It's, it's not like eating kale, but if somebody's going to have a treat, I would much rather have them eat a treat of whole foods like nuts and dates than something with sugar, flour, and oil. So I'm going to process again. It might be a noisy.
Fascinating. So everybody, as you watch this presentation, notice Chef AJ uses whole foods, not processed. The nuts are raw, and that's really the key. And one thing we had over the years with coaching our patient in the boot camp, we would allow some nuts, but they would forget that the nuts have to be raw. We prefer to be organic. And so we had to pull the nuts off detox. And so you have to be very careful of the quality of ingredients. And notice Chef AJ is talking about the quality of ingredients and making sure there are no additives, preservatives, or the like, or no oil. So that's really important in terms of a whole food, plant-based diet, and especially if you want to maintain optimal health. So the preservatives can be problematic. Lloyd Tyler wants to know about gumbo. Do you have a gumbo recipe?
I don't, but I bet I know who does. And her name is Kathy Hester, and I'm almost positive she's a wonderful vegan chef. But again, if you remind me, I will look it up. I know there has to be one out there. So what you do is you process it until you can get it to form a ball very easily. And the ball has what's called, so this is a truffle right now. I mean, we could eat this. You put a little cinnamon in it. This would be delicious. But this is going to be my crust. And if I can break it easily in half and it still stays together, then I know it's done. And so now what I'm going to do is pour the crust ingredients in the pan. And using my hand, I'm going to press it down. And that's how you do it.
So Guy McGar, as he says, you're a magical nutritionist chef, the best to help people stay healthy. But he wants to ask you about your Johnny Carson show guest days and Blondie.
Wait, is this guy the famous? If this is the guy that I know from LA, he is like a world famous Hollywood director, and I miss him so much since I left LA. And he sent me some information on a magic class that I'm going to be taking. I hope he's going to be in it too. But Johnny Carson was September 1st, 1987. You can find that on my YouTube page. That was one of the, okay, so there are three great moments in my life in order. Marrying Charles, that was the third best. No, just kidding. Kidding. Oh, he didn't even hear me. Speaking at the McDougall Advanced Study Weekend and being on Johnny Carson. Those are my top three things. And because it was a dream since I was 7 years old. So
wow.
Did he have a specific question on it? Or so I've got my beautiful crust here. And by the way, this type of crust, we could just serve fresh fruit over this. This could be a delicious pie, just if company came, it could be very quick. We could slice up some berries and that's something you can do with it. But let me show you how to do the filling now. So now what we're going to do is put the nuts that I ground up already back. I mean, it's hard to believe that this is only 2 ingredients.
Now,
and
Denise doesn't have a food processor. She wants to know, can you do without it?
No, I'm sorry. Not really.
Sorry, Denise.
I'm so sorry, but you can get a really affordable one at Walmart. This is my Cuisinart, and I've been teaching cooking for 20 years, and I've had my Cuisinart break, and I've had no choice but to go to Walmart like at 11 o'clock at night for the next day's class. For $87 or less, you could get the Black & Decker, you can get the Oster. Just make sure you get one that's at least 14 cup. I would recommend not the 8 or the 12. I really, because see the blender, I'm sorry. I don't know how else to do this.
So now make the investment.
So I am going to, I made the date paste in advance just because remember what I said at the beginning, you don't want to go from wet to dry. And so I made this in advance, and now I'm going to add the date paste to the food processor. And date paste is amazing, by the way. There's just nothing like it, And the reason this is a little bit thinner than it normally is because I just made it. The date paste does set up
And that's
in the
your
refrigerator.
piece, right?
Yeah. So I have seen date paste commercially in a few stores. Usually they're ethnic markets and they usually come from the Middle East. And what date paste is when you buy it in the store is they take dates and they put it through an extruder. Extruder, if you think about like how a shower head, how the water comes through the holes, or if you think of like where they grind like liver in the deli. So they take dates, they put it through an extruder. But that is too hard to process. And so I like to make my own date paste. My particular ratio is for every pound of dates, I do a cup of water. So it's more date than water, or it could be another liquid. It could be a non-dairy milk. It could be a juice, depending on what flavor profile I want the recipe in. But date paste, I can tell you, freezes beautifully for months and even lasts for a week in the fridge. So now I'm going to process this again. And I remember when you invited me and Chef Lebet to Houston, I made this at your house for one of the. I made it at your house. Do you remember for one of the parties?
I do remember. Yeah. We had a good time.
Right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on top of the crust. And this is perfect for the holiday. And it's so rich. You know, what's nice about pecans is they have this richness and butteriness. I was once I think you were in Marshall. Were you in Marshall, Texas ever?
Yeah, I was in Marshall several times. I'm sure we crossed paths in Marshall also.
Right, because they have some kind of special pecan they had there that was like mind-blowing. I wanted to show you a little food processor trick. There's quite a bit of the product left on the blade. And so rather than take all the time to scrape it off, what you do is you put the top of the food processor back on, literally for one pulse, and then through the magic of centrifugal force, my blade is practically clean now. And a lot of people don't do that even when they make hummus. And look how much you waste, almost an entire piece by not doing that. And
Rebecca wants to know can you make a walnut pie instead of pecans? Make with walnuts. Have you done that?
I don't see why you couldn't. I think you could use any almonds. Almonds are a little tough. Almonds is a very, very hard nut. If you prefer walnut, yes, I don't see why you couldn't. Now, this is only $7 at Walmart, but sometimes these little tools make a difference if you could just angle this down. This is called an offset. Could you angle it down just a little bit? Could you angle it down a little bit? He can't hear me. He's using headphones. So yes, of course, a regular spatula will work, right? But really to get a nice, smooth top, I really like using something called an offset spatula because it's beveled and it just makes it easier to get a nice smooth top.
Yeah, I remember looking for an offset spatula for you when you came.
Yeah, it does. It just makes it, I mean, you can always make do with a knife, but it's just, I like having the tools. Okay, so see, very quick. Now, what we want to do is decorate the top with pecans. And so these are whole pecans, and this is where you can get the kids involved, and you just basically press them in all the way around. Now, this is going to be a little time consuming. So if you have questions, this will be a great time to ask. But let's say you were in a hurry. All you'd have to do is chop a bunch of pecans and you could sprinkle it on top. But this is what makes it look like a traditional pecan pie by doing it old school this way. Now you're going to have to.
Do you eat the pecan pie? Because it says in your program you don't eat nuts.
Okay, so I personally have not had nuts since 2011. But again, if you read my book and understand that even though I'm slender now, I'm a food addict in recovery, and nuts are what are called a trigger food for me. So in other words, like they say in AA, one drink, one nut. If I eat one nut, even my least favorite nut, a Brazil nut, next thing you know, I'm going to be eating a pound of pistachios. So I just can't seem to moderate my use of nuts or even seeds, with the exception of flax and chia seeds. So my philosophy is when in doubt, leave it out. And for people that are worried about my health, I can assure you I have one of the best lifestyle medicine doctors in the country, and he checks my omega-3 fatty acid levels every year. They're strong, they're high, but that is because I eat so many grains, and because I don't consume oil, I don't get any omega-6, or not, I don't get too much omega-6, which is why my ratio is very, very favorable. But
And
I
you
can
can do fine with seeds. Seeds give you enough healthy fats. You don't have to eat nuts. So
right. See,
yeah.
and yes, yeah, seeds don't seem to have that same effect on me. I mean, who's going to binge on chia seeds? Come on, not that interesting. But yeah. Anyway, but that's okay because this is going to go to somebody else's house, and it's not going to be in mine, so it's not going to tempt me. But I don't have a problem. First of all, I can't eat it right now anyway, because see, this has to be frozen. What's also nice about this is it's a raw dessert. And I live in the desert where it can be 120 degrees, and I don't want to turn my oven on, but I can make this all year round for a friend's birthday or something. And it's really not that hard to make. Now, once I get the nuts on the top, it's basically done. I just have to freeze it until hard. And it won't get so hard in the freezer that you won't be able to cut it. You will. But you want to serve it either completely frozen or slightly frozen, because then it kind of almost tastes like a caramely pecan ice cream cake. Now, this is how we make it at True North, and Dr. Goldhammer does allow me to make these on New Year's Eve. However, if you really want to fool people and have them think it's a pecan pie, this is where the date syrup, Louise, will come in. So this is a brand I love called I Love Date Lady. You can get a 15% discount with code Chef AJ. And as a matter of fact, if you're watching this now, we have a contest on our website, Chef AJ website, where you can win a year's supply for free. So go to Chef AJ website. If you enter by Wednesday, November 11th at midnight, you can win a year's supply of date syrup for free. And so what I like to do is you can angle it down.
A year's supply of kale.
I wish. So I try to take as little as possible. I mean, if I were to measure this, my guess is it's no more than a couple of tablespoons. And my hand is clean, so I'm going to use my finger. And then this gives it that glazed look that you would get with the Caro corn syrup. So just enough to make it shiny and not too much. But this is just a way to let people think it's, they're eating real pecan pie. So
a couple of comments on the gumbo. Nicole wants to remind you that Josh Lahani's mom has a vegan gumbo.
Oh, thank you. Yes, she has a book called Pure Ambrosia. So yes, that's a great suggestion.
And then also, Kathy Hester has a whole food plant-based gumbo recipe on her plant-based Instapot website.
Yeah, I knew that I saw it somewhere. So it's time for more date syrup. Just anyway, luckily, there we go.
There you go, contest, so you can get a year's supply.
No, that wouldn't be what's that? The FAA? Who monitors these contests? Like remember that quiz show movie where they cheated on the game show? No, I won't even let my friends really enter because I would be accused of nepotism. Let me just rinse my finger real quickly. And so this is it. And so what we have to do is we just have to stick this in the freezer overnight, and you are going to have the most amazing pie ever. I promise. Okay, so now let's show you what we do.
Greetings, I'm Dr. Batcha Montgomery. Thanks for joining us this evening. I want to share information about our FoodRx Healthy Lifestyle Series. The FoodRx Healthy Lifestyle Series is a comprehensive health and wellness coaching program designed to help you navigate your lifestyle towards optimal health. Do you want to reverse or control a chronic illness, or reduce or eliminate medications? You may want to avoid potential surgeries or medical procedures, or perhaps boost your immune system or improve your fitness level, or much more. The program starts with an intense 5-session, 4-week virtual coaching jumpstart phase, where you join a group of like-minded individuals dedicated to improving their health. You'll be provided a lot of support materials, including nutrition plans, recipes, supplement plans as needed, or fitness plans, and much more. You have full year access to the support materials as well as our health and wellness team during and at the completion of the 4-week jumpstart period. To learn more about this program, connect on one of our links below or schedule a call with our team members. Let them know if you wish to speak to me directly, and they'll arrange a time for you. Optimal health is a lifelong journey. Let us help you navigate it to your most desired destination.